Hi everyone, my name's Alison and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to the first of 4 videos, and what we're going to be doing across the 4 videos is making a gift box like this with a selection of 12 cards, and this box then also allows for the C6 size envelopes as well, and they're just a selection of cards, thank you cards and happy birthday. This was made using the Parisian suite that's now discontinued, unfortunately, because I think, well, they're beautiful papers. And I actually got 2 sets of cards, 2 sets of boxes of cards out of that one pack of papers. But yeah, we'll be doing these across the 4 videos. So for today's video, I'm going to be making the quilted card like that, and we're using the Prized Peony, the Peony Garden suite, and this I used, just coloured in the flowers there in petal pink, and then we just run it through an embossing folder just to give that, I'm not sure if you can see, yeah, just make that out a quilted effect. Okay, so that's the first one, and what I did with the cards, I actually did 2 designs in sort of slightly different colours, so we'll be going through these on each video, just slightly a variation but of the same design. So today we're going to be doing these 2. Well, in fact we'll be doing one because I've already done this one here. Okay. So for today's card, because I've done this one in the more sort of the grey colours with a subtle hint of petal pink, we're going to be using the petal pink colour paper this time, which is these here. I think they're absolutely beautiful, and I'm sure that as we go along, I haven't decided yet the papers I'm going to use on the other cards, so, but there are some really pretty, and the main colours in this pack are petal pink and the grey as well, so that's what the theme will be for these box of cards. Okay, so now we'll get started and I'll let you know what measurements you need. So we'll start off with a card base. So I have chosen to do all my card bases in the basic grey, and so this will be 5 3/4 by 8 1/4 scored at 4 1/8. You're then going to need 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock. This is for matte on the front and then also for one inside, and they're going to measure 4 inches by 5 5/8. And then you're going to want 1 piece of Whisper White that's slightly smaller at 3 7/8 by 5 1/2. And this piece is what we're going to stick these little pieces onto. And so you want 6 pieces of one design. I've chosen to go for the flowery design here, but you can choose whichever design you want. And these measure 1 1/4 inches by 1 1/4 inches square. So you want 6 pieces in one design, and then 4 pieces, again 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 in your second contrasting or your second design. So what we're going to do first, what might be handy as well, which I didn't get myself, if you just find a piece of scrap and just cut that also at 1 1/4 square, and I'll show you why we've got that in a second. Just cut that at 1 1/4 square. Might already be 1 1/4. still not quite. There we go. Oops. Okay, so we'll keep that piece for the moment. We'll be using that to help us position our little squares. So what you want to do, it's really handy if you do have the Stampin' Up! Grid paper, because you'll find that each little square is 1/4 of an inch, so it not only helps to measure, but also it helps you to line up your piece of card that you're working on. Because what we want to do, it depends actually how you want to position your squares. You could start off in the corner like that, so that you're right flush, and then just work along. I just like to start off just off the edge like that. And so if you see, you can line up. I hope you can see that okay. I might just try, and my zoom doesn't really, it's very slow and painstakingly slow. Right, so you can see I'm just lining up the edge of it. Just hold that there, and then just line up the edge of where you want it positioned. Losing my bearing, there we go. That's it. So I'm wanting to, so you would line that up with the edge here of your grid paper, and it just helps you make sure your base obviously is also straight. That helps. And then you can line it up like that. Okay, let's zoom out again. Again, apologies that it's so slow. There we go. So what I then do is this piece of scrap that we used, let's just check that straight again, it keeps moving. Just position that right up next to it, like that, and then that way I'm only applying glue to this piece here, rather than, I have in the past done it where I've just turned it over and glued underneath, and I end up getting glue over the side of it, and it just then gets everywhere. So if I line that up there, and then with your glue, helps if I'd have taken the lid off, you can just put a little bit of glue, and I would advise you use a liquid glue so that you've got a bit of manoeuvrability before it totally sets. And then that way you can just position that on, lining it up with the lines on the grid paper, like that. And then we can move this piece out of the way for the moment. Just check that's lined up again. And it's just straight here and along there, okay? And then that way you'll see we haven't got any glue. There's a mark on there, but that's fine, that's going to get stuck down. You won't see that, but there's no glue hanging over. And then to do the next one, we want to again use the same design, and I then position our scrap piece there so that we know then that this is going to go and butt up against that, so we know it's going to be lined up. We can still use our grid paper as well just to check that it's straight across the top, but again, in fact, if we look and see where it ends just shy of that mark there, so we know roughly where to put the glue. Like that, and then you can just position our little square. And you might get a bit of glue that just bleeds, but you can just wipe that off there. Okay. Oh, that just stuck to there a bit, that's okay. There we go, and then that's our first pieces down. And so these we will just keep blank. And so now we need to come down to our next line here, and this time we'll be using our contrasting designer series paper, so decide which way you want that. If you then position our template underneath that one there, so we know then that this can just butt up. You don't have to use this template, I just find it easier. It just makes it, you know, you can sort of pretty much get your lines nice and straight then. But you don't have to use that if you don't want to. And because the whole of this is being stuck down, we can apply glue directly to it. Use my tweezers there. I could actually position that side. Okay, and then just stick that down. Like so. Okay, and then put that there, and we'll stick our second piece there. And again, because we're hanging off, we'll apply the glue to the base rather than the DSP. Like that. This is really quite therapeutic actually. I'm thinking of doing one with even smaller squares, almost like a mosaic effect. There we go. And so now the next line down, we'll go back to our first design. And again, line our template up with the one above, and then position the glue. Position the glue. Just put the glue on the base rather than on the DSP. Oops. Okay, and then for the fourth line, we're going to go back to our second design, and again just position the template. You can put the glue directly on it because it's all being stuck down. And then now for our final line, then we can just put our template underneath the one before, and then we can just apply glue to that little corner there. And again, if we just check that it's, because we've come to the bottom, I think we're pretty straight there. I'll just move that a tad. Yep, that looks straight. Take that out of the way. And our final piece. I'll go next to it, and luckily you can pretty much see where it's going to go. And there you go. Okay, so we'll obviously cut these off, but what we'll do for now, we'll just let that dry, so that we don't get glue on our scissors, but also just so we don't have the, accidentally move any of the squares. Alright, so we'll let that dry. So while we wait for that, we'll do our sentiment. So on here I've used the stitched, no, not the Stitch So Sweetly. Let's get them here. Yes, they are the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And I've used the third one down for the background. Now I'm actually undecided at the moment whether I want to do it in basic grey or petal pink. So I thought I'd wait until I've put in the card together, and then if I don't like it in basic grey, then I shall just do it in the petal pink. But you just want a piece that's going to fit that, which I think it's about, yes, 3.5 by 2.5. And we're going to run that through our machine. Oh, that moved, so luckily it's straight. There we go. Okay, and then let's move that out of the way. So we're going to stamp our sentiment. And we just want a scrap of Whisper White. And for the sentiment, I'm going to be doing it in the same, in I Can't Thank You Enough. I just think that's such a lovely, it's just a bit more special. Right, let's get that. And my block, and the block I'm using is block D. There we go. And the ink I'm using, it's just black ink, I think. I do know. There we go, and then just position that much in the middle as you can. There we go. So it's not in the middle, it's really hard to see actually because I've got the camera there, but it's going to be die cut, so that's fine. Okay, and then we're going to bring out Big Shot back, and we'll be using the second size down, and this is from the same Stitch So Sweetly dies. Just line that up. There we go. And it just fits around that perfectly. Right. Now, I'm not going to stick that to there yet until I know for certain if I'm going to like this basic grey against the yeah, I'm not so sure about that now. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. No, I think that's too dark. Yeah, no, I think that's too dark. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly go ahead and just cut out this again, but in Petal Pink. Right, okay, so I've cut out another piece in the Petal Pink. Yeah, it definitely looks a lot better than the dark grey did. And we're gonna put some gems on too, so that'll break up, you know, the Petal Pink if it looks too pinky. But yeah, that's going to look better than the grey did. Right, so let's now just stick that onto the back there. You can use dimensionals if you like. I haven't, I've just used glue. That's it. Okay, so now what we need to do, if we go back to card base here, and we need to trim to cut off obviously all these bits that are overhanging. And I would use, I wouldn't use your best scissors, just in case there is some glue on there, and you just want to carefully cut so you're up against the edge of the Whisper White cardstock there. And you want to do that all the way round. There we go. Okay, let's get rid of these. You can keep these little pieces if you like. Just move them to one side. And now what we're going to do is it's important to actually make sure that your glue is thoroughly dry, because we're going to run it through the machine again with an embossing folder. So if your glue isn't quite dry, obviously where it flattens, it's going to end up oozing out and making a mess. So do ensure that your glue is nice and dry before doing this next part. And the embossing folder I'm going to be using is the Dainty Diamonds. I just think it's so pretty. And it does actually make it look, you know, very authentic, like a, you know, the quilts that you see. And just line it up with the pattern that you've got coming down. Now I know normally when you run through in the embossing folder, you would normally spray your card so that it doesn't tear. I've not needed to when I've done these. I've not had it tear. Whether it's because we've got this double thickness, you've got the DSP and the cardstock, but I've not had it tear, so I've not needed to spray. There we go. So let's run that through the Big Shot. There you go, and then when you open it up, you have that lovely embossing on there. This then makes it look like fabric. Really lovely. Okay, so then what we're going to do next is we'll adhere this to a piece of Whisper White. I just find it helps to finish it off rather than just sticking direct. It just gives it a nice little border. Okay, so let's stick that onto there. Nice. And then what we'll do is just Stick that onto our card base. There we go. And then we'll stick our sentiment on. I think for this one we'll put it lower down, I think. There we go. Nice and simple. And then for the inside, put that on. We can decorate it. I think actually what I might do is the other card I'd cut a strip of the designer series paper because I wanted to follow on where I'd coloured in the flowers there. I think on this one, to bring out the design of that, I think we might stamp a flower directly onto here. I think that would look quite nice just in the corner there. So for that, what we'll do is we'll use the flower from the Prized Peony. And I think, yeah, as we're going off the edge, I think we'll be able to use this one. It's so pretty. Let's put that on block. And then we'll just have that. And I think we'll use the petal pink. Scrap actually because we're coming off the page. Just notice my sentiment was sticking up a bit there. Okay. Hard to see if that's inked up enough actually, but let's just hope for the best. Okay, so I'm just going to have that coming off from the corner. Like that. That's lovely. Just stops it just being plain white in there. Stick that inside. There we go. Okay. And then I think what we'll do is we'll put some gemstones on. These are the champagne rhinestones. I find they go quite well with petal pink. And I think we will use the smaller ones. Put one on there. On that side. And I think we'll, for this one, as we've gone lower down, we'll put in the middle of the little squares as well, just random. And there we go. So that's the first 2 cards made from our box of cards, our box of 12 that we're going to do. So I hope you like them. If you do, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And as I said at the beginning, there'll be further 3 videos, I think it will be, where I'll show you how to make the next 2 cards to go into our box, and then the final video will be showing you how to make the actual box for the cards, and then you can give them as gifts or just keep them for yourself. Thank you for watching. Bye.